He was once feared as the god who devoured his own children, worshipped with blood, appeased with sacrifice, and now Saturn returns not in the golden halls of Capricorn, not in the silent depth of Pisces, but blazing into Aries, the sign of war, fire, and initiation. What happens when the ancient god of karma, restriction, and consequence steps into the battlefield of zodiac? What echoes from Saturn's dark history will rise again? Saturn is not here to give us gifts. Saturn arrives with a sickle, not a slate. Let's talk about Saturn worship in ancient civilizations. First is Roman Saturn, or Saturnus. Saturn was revered or worshipped during the Saturnalia festival from December 17th to December 23rd. The celebration of Saturnalia involved role reversals, feasting, and suspension of norms, a temporary return to a mystic golden age before Saturn was overthrown by Jupiter. Though Saturnalia was enjoyable, blood rituals and sacrifices were part of older pre-Roman agricultural cults. Carthaginian, Phoenician Saturn, same as Baal or Moloch. In these traditions, Saturn was sometimes associated with child sacrifice, particularly burning infants to appease the gods during famine or hardship. Let's talk about Roman and Greek sources mention the sacrifice of children during themes of crisis, sometimes attributing it to Saturn worship. Greek Kronos, the Hellenic Saturn. Kronos devoured his children out of fear of being overthrown, which reflects themes of time, decay, and sacrifice to preserve the power or order. The story ties into cyclical death and rebirth, especially during the seasonal transitions like the winter solstice. Let's talk about winter solstice, human sacrifice, and tree. So you know that winter solstice, or Yule, on December 21st. Seen as the death of the sun, many ancient people believed that a sacrifice was necessary to ensure the rebirth of the sun, of the light. In some Northern European and Indo-European traditions, virgin sacrifices or symbolic stands-in were said to be offered to gods to renew fertility, appease the dark forces, or restore the balance. Evergreen trees and shiny entrails. The evergreen tree symbolizes life in the midst of death, enduring through the winter. Some scholars theorize that decorating the trees with entrails, bones, or shining objects may have originated from the older animalistic or ritual practices intended to honor the spirits or wards of death. Over time, entrails may have become ribbons, fruit, and shiny balls in symbolic transformation. But actually, when you're decorating the Christmas tree, it's a part of the ritual worshiping Saturn. Did you know that red Saturn with the sack? It's a dark proto-Santa. Saturn dressed in red robes has eerie similarities to later depiction of Santa Claus. In some pre-Christian myth, the god of spirit of winter came with a sack, not to give, but to take. He took children, food, vitality, fertility, representing the harness of winter and needs to sacrifice or give offerings. These early visitors would bring disease, famine, or death if not appeased, much like Saturn's harsh aspect of the god of time and decay. The evolution from malevolent winter spirit to jolly gift giver Santa Claus included Christian adaptation and cultural softening over the time. In some Slavic countries, there is still a character that is very pale and bluish girl next to Slavic Santa Claus, considered to be a granddaughter of the Mr. Frost, but in fact is just a transformation of the sacrifice of the girls that were sacrificed to Saturn. Right now, they're all as the powerful metaphors that Saturn is a devourer of time, the bringer of hardship, and the one whom offerings are made to survive winter's grip. Let's talk about Saturn in astrology. It's a task maker of cosmos. Core meanings of Saturn represents structure, time, discipline, responsibility, karma, boundaries, limitations, and lessons. It's not a planet of ease. Saturn demands maturity, focus, and accountability. It strips away any illusions and forces you to deal with the real, Often called the great teacher, lord of karma, Saturn is where we face our deepest tests, but also where we gain long-lasting rewards through efforts and patience. Saturn's cycle is about 29.5 years to complete the orbit through the zodiac and stays in one sign for 2.5 to 3 years in each zodiac sign. Saturn returns occur at ages 29, 58, and 87. These are life-defining milestones that bring massive shifts, endings, and new beginnings, often harsh but transformative. If you are into birth chart, check out your Saturn squares and oppositions, because these are key tension points where the changes are necessary. 7, 14, 21 years. What about astrological symbolism? Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius and the 10th house of horoscope. It's career, legacy, public reputation, but for everybody is in the different house. Keywords here will be delay, wisdom, limits, authority, mastery. Saturn is like a stern mentor or judge. It gives nothing for free, but everything it gives lasts. It teaches you to build something real, settle, something of real substance and not just fluff. Let's talk about light and shadows. Positive Saturn. It gives mastery, achievement, resilience, self-discipline, authority, and healthy boundaries. As the negative aspect of Saturn, it's fear, control issues, repression, guilt, isolation, restriction, very harsh karma, obstacle on each way. In mundane astrology, which is world events, it can bring economic reforms, authority, crackdowns, wars and conflicts, especially when Saturn is on fire signs, society restructuring, general responsibility and shifts in power. For example, Saturn in Aries is fire, war, and beginnings, and is very different from Saturn in Pisces, which is dissolution, immigration crisis, spiritual boundaries. The first ignites action, the second ends cycles. Let me ask you something. What happens when the planet of karma, the one that never forgets, steps into the sign of war? You get tested, not by fate, but by yourself. Saturn enters Aries on May 24th, 2025, and for the next 2.5 years, you're being trained for war. Not out there, but right here in your heart. You said you want change. You said you're ready for more. You made wishes, New Year resolutions. Saturn says, prove it. Aries is fast. It wants to move, start, to leap. But Saturn doesn't care about the spark. It cares about structure. It says, sure, you can light the match, but can you keep the fire burning when no one is cheering anymore? Let me ask you this. How many things have you started and never finished? That's what Saturn's here to ask. That's where it begins. Saturn doesn't punish you. It just mirrors you, and in Aries, that mirror, it's hot, it's fast, it's unforgiving. You'll get angry, you'll get frustrated. Pisces have experienced it in the past 3 years. You will want to run, and Saturn will whisper, stand your ground, hold your fire. You were asked for transformation, didn't you? You wanted changes, you want to live better. This is karmic training. You are learning to lead, not just others, but yourself. The world is watching. This isn't just personal. We are entering an era where leadership is shifting. No more saviors. Everyone will have to make that choice. No more waiting for a system to fix itself. Saturn in Aries says, if you want change, become the one who builds it. If it's burning, rebuild it. If it's broken, be the one who makes it whole. That's the new karma. Responsibility is the new revolution. But let's be honest, this path is not easy. You may feel lonely. You may question your worth. You'll face silence, rejection, exhaustion. But in the silence, Saturn shapes steel. That's where queens and kings are made. So if you're struggling, it's a part of it. You are not lost. You are becoming, and you will love it. So for the next 2.5 years, you are being called not to react, but to respond, not to follow, but to lead, not to start 100 things, but to finish one thing that truly matters. You will see that you will gain the new set of values in the next 2.5 years in the houses where attentive auditor and teacher Saturn will transit. It's a training ground, and the question is, will you rise as the sovereign soul or fall as your own enemy? Answer the question. You can leave a comment. What fire are you ready to walk through? And if you're ready to lead your life, not just survive it, hit that subscribe button. Your future self is watching. Let's talk about each zodiac separately. First is Aries.